What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Week 12 NFL main slate breakdown here on Sharp Sports Network. I'm your host, Joe Bewer, and I'm going to be breaking down some of my favorite plays for this Week 12 NFL main slate. Got a lot of things to talk about, but before I get into that, I just want to say we absolutely crushed last night's showdown slate between the Texans and the Colts. DeAndre Hopkins at captain absolutely murdered it. We were all over Jonathan Williams, all over Deshaun Watson. It was an incredible night. We had a few takedowns in the main GPP. A couple of our guys tied for first place, so it was definitely an incredible night. Great way to start the streak. So we can get on to this main slate. So we got a few things I want to talk about based on the first look video. I was all over Matt Ryan, all over Sam Darnold. I am still all over those guys. I think Matt Ryan is a fantastic cash play. I think Sam Darnold is one of my favorite GPP plays, but I'm going to go over a few of my cash plays and GPP plays, and I'll leave the rest for my members. I really like three quarterbacks today: Matt Ryan in cash, Sam Darnold, and then I'm on Nick Foles a lot in tournaments today. I think this stack is pretty solid. Nick Foles coming back from injury, put up quite an interesting performance here against the Colts, which is a pretty solid defense through 47 times. But they're depleted wide receiver-wise, injury-wise, so I think that it makes a ton of sense to kind of buy low on Nick Foles as well. Matt Ryan makes a ton of sense here today. He's going up against terrible defense, 31st in the league in passing defense, and they're not going to be able to run the ball too much with Devonta Freeman out. And they're going to play Brian Hill, but he's not going to have too much of an effect. I think Matt Ryan's going to have to air the ball out upwards of 40 to 45 times. I think it's going to be a close game. It's projected to be a close game. So I really want to pay up here in cash game or pay down for Sam Darnold here. I think Darnold is just a little bit hard to get away from. So either of these two are viable for cash. I'd probably roll with Nick Foles in tournaments. Over here on running back, I really want to pay up this week on running back. I think this is a spot where you really need to attack. Derrick Henry is by far my favorite running back play this week. I think Derrick Henry is an incredible spot. He's been getting the volume that he deserves. Last time against Jacksonville, he had that 99-yard run. I really think against Jacksonville here, it was the 29th ranked in rushing defense that they're just really going to pound the ball with Derrick Henry. He's projected to be a popular play. I think this is a good spot to really seems a buy low spot for Derrick Henry at 6.9K. I think it's a very soft price tag for somebody of his caliber. Right above him is Jalen Samuels. James Conner and Juju Smith-Schuster are going to miss this game as of now, so I think Jalen Samuels makes a ton of sense. You can play him in the passing, and we know that we really like to attack Cincinnati. I think he's going to get a ton of passing upside and rushing upside as well, with not too many options other than Deontay Johnson in the passing game. So I think Jalen Samuels gets a huge boost going up against a terrible Cincinnati defense. I think you can play both of these guys in the same lineup and be able to cash with ease. I'm going to leave the rest of the running backs for my members, some of the upper tier guys that I'm really interested in, and then a few lower price guys as well. But for tournaments, if I were to run a running back, I would probably run somebody like Kareem Hunt or David Montgomery. But I think these two guys are GPP viable as well. Wide receiver is the big what if this week. There's a lot of high price guys, and then you kind of dip off into the lower tier guys. I think there's a lot of value in these wide receiver position today. Julio Jones is going to definitely be the chalkiest play of the day going up against Tampa Bay. I think he's definitely in play, but that 8K price tag makes it a little bit tough. Hasn't had a touchdown in a long time. I think it could come this week, but it's just really hard to pay 8K for somebody who doesn't have consistent touchdown equity. For me, Odell Beckham Jr. is probably one of my favorite wide receiver plays on this slate. The touchdown regression is soon to come, and he gets arguably an absolute dream matchup against Miami. Terrible defense. Last week he had a touchdown in that showdown slate against Pittsburgh, but it got robbed at the 1-yard line. So to be honest, Odell Beckham Jr. is getting the volume. If we see the double-digit targets, he's getting them 2 straight games. They really want to push the ball to his side of the field. I think Odell Beckham at 7K is actually a buy low spot for this week. Calvin Ridley down here, I'd rather pay for Calvin Ridley, I think, than Julio Jones. The targets have been there. They're going to keep throwing to him. He's just deep down the field all the time, and with losing Mohamed Sanu, his touchdown equity has just gone up through the roof. I think that this is a very good spot for Calvin Ridley here at 6.5K. They did raise his price $1,000, but I think you can still pay for Calvin Ridley here today. Moving down the list, I'm interested in DJ Chark and Jamison Crowder as well. Chark last week hooked up for 2 touchdowns for 104 yards with Nick Foles. I think this is a great pairing if you're going to play Nick Foles in tournaments. And then Sam Darnold, obviously we would want to go Jamison Crowder. But I think you can actually move down a little bit today. Golden Tate is going to be one of the top options for me. Darius Slayton could potentially miss this game. Rhett Ellison and Evan Engram are out. So this just boosts Golden Tate's touchdown equity and his overall usage through the absolute roof against the Chicago defense, who ranks top 10 in passing defense but has been exploited, and we've seen them be exploited against the Rams last week. I think Golden Tate is in an incredible spot. Oh, it's actually Sterling Shepard, who might not play. Darius Slayton will play. But I think you can actually move a little bit further down here. There's a few guys that I would really want to touch on. If Tyler Lockett misses, Josh Gordon at 4.2K makes a ton of sense. Tyler Lockett is limited right now in practice. We're not sure if he's going to play or not, but if he doesn't, Josh Gordon becomes an elite value play at 4.2K. Russell Gage as well at 3.9K saw an increased amount of targets last week, going up against another terrible passing defense team. I think Russell Gage can definitely get you there at 3.9K. His pricing did increase because of the increased usage that he's seeing. So 3.9K for a value play like that is definitely in play. But a more chalky play is if Julian Edelman misses and Mohamed Sanu is also questionable as well. I think N'Keal Harry, who saw 4 targets last week for 18 yards, is an incredible spot at 3.3K. I think this is a great spot. We would definitely want to keep in tune with the injury news to see what happens there. Tight ends. It's a very terrible spot for tight ends this week. I'm not really sure. Jacob Hollister would probably be my favorite cash game play. And Ryan Griffin are probably the 2 plays I see right now. Not too much for the tight ends this week. I'm going to leave that for my members as well. And then the defense situation here, Steelers, obviously a top play. I like the Steelers a lot, and then I actually don't mind the Falcons defense as well. Going up against Tampa Bay, I think they're putting a lot of pressure on the quarterback recently, which Jameis does not do well with. So I think that, after putting up a 26-point performance against Carolina and just really putting the pressure on Kyle Allen, that they could make for a pretty interesting cash play as well. Like I said, those are just a few of my favorite plays, not all of my favorite plays. I'm going to leave the rest of my plays for my members. I'm going to head over here on FanDuel, where it's pretty much a similar thing. I think Matt Ryan is appropriately priced. I don't see the justification to pay for Sam Darnold when you can pay $500 more for Matt Ryan. Nick Foles, though, is 7.2K. It's probably going to be a Matt Ryan day over here on FanDuel. And then pricing over here, like I said, I talked about Derrick Henry. I like him still over here on FanDuel. And I talked about Jalen Samuels as well, 6.9K. I like him over here as well. Not too many plays. Bo Scarborough is arguably so overpriced, it's not even funny. The wide receiver situation over here is pretty much the same on DraftKings. There's only a few mistakes I see. Odell Beckham's priced the same. DJ Chark is priced up, so I probably wouldn't play him over here. Calvin Ridley's priced appropriately. But some of these low-tier guys are just priced too low. Like I talked about Golden Tate, he's priced too cheap. You'll see somebody like Russell Gage still priced super cheap. And then tight end situation, same. Jacob Hollister, Ryan Griffin are who I'm definitely interested in. Now, fantasy draft over here, like I said, if you guys are interested in joining fantasy draft and you want to get our NFL private content for free, private roster construction video with more of the plays that I want to talk about other than the ones that I talked about in this video, there are a ton of plays that I did not mention in this video that I leave for my members only. If you want those plays, go ahead and sign up on Fantasy Draft using the link below in the description. Go ahead and deposit $10. Send me a screenshot on Twitter, and I'll get you set up. Same over here on Fantasy Draft. The pricing is just too soft. Matt Ryan's an easy plug and play at 12.3K. I think he makes a ton of sense over here on Fantasy Draft. And then over here on the running back situation, Christian McCaffrey's so overly priced. But Derrick Henry at 12.9K is pretty abysmal. I think he makes a ton of sense over here. Jalen Samuels as well, like we talked about. They're priced so bad over here on Fantasy Draft. It's really hard to get away from them. Julio Jones is priced up there. Calvin Ridley is actually priced up there on this slate. DJ Chark is not, and Jamison Crowder isn't either, which makes this pretty easy for the roster construction over here on Fantasy Draft. You can make some of the craziest lineups over here on Fantasy Draft. If I just plugged in Calvin Ridley, we could just continue going down the list. I could plug in Calvin Ridley, and I could drop in Golden Tate, and then I could go to tight end, and we could put in Jacob Hollister, like we talked about. I think Jacob Hollister makes a ton of sense over here. Go to our defense. We could plug in Falcons defense at 6.6K, and you're left with 12.2K in the flex spot. You can pay out for another stud. You could pay out for Julio and be left with 9.4K. You can get a ton of guys over here on Fantasy Draft, so I really do want to emphasize that Fantasy Draft is making it super easy for the roster construction. So with that being said, cash game plays like we talked about, Matt Ryan makes a ton of sense. Sam Darnold makes a ton of sense as well. Running back situation, love Derrick Henry this week. He's definitely an elite play for me. And then on wide receiver wise, love Calvin Ridley like we talked about. And so with that being said, good luck to everybody. Hope you all enjoyed this video and it helped a little bit. Like I said, if you're a member, stay tuned in the Discord chat and for the private roster construction and cheat sheets as well. That will be coming out tomorrow. I will be giving some more of my elite plays over there. And if you want to join the team, like I said, go ahead and take advantage of that fantasy draft offer. So with that being said, good luck to everybody on this Week 12 main slate. And I will see you all on Sunday for a showdown video for the Packers and the 49ers. So with that being said, peace.